Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for the second round of Super Rugby Pacific, and it is a massive way to open up round two. Crusaders taking on the Highlanders, the South Island battle, but it's not happening in the South Island. Instead, it is happening as part of the Super Round coming live from AAMI Park in Melbourne, where we are going to get to see 6 Super Rugby Pacific matches all taking place over the next 3 days. But this Crusaders side coming off a loss. Same can be said about the Highlanders, and they just mentioned Highlanders actually on an 11-match losing streak up against Kiwi opposition. They'll certainly want to change that. Quickly looking through at the table, the way that we sit in the Super Rugby Pacific competition, as you can see, the Crusaders in 10th. That's something you really see in a year of Super Rugby. They've got plenty of time, though, to slowly build themselves back up to that top 4. The Highlanders sitting bottom of the bunch after their 60 points to 20 loss to the Blues, who do have top position as it does currently sit. But the Hurricanes in second, they will be playing a little bit later on up against the Rebels just outside of the top 8. Looking through, though, at this Crusaders starting lineup, it will be Joe Moody, Cody Taylor, and Tamaiti Williams. Some would say the strongest front three that the Crusaders can have in this contest. Scott Barrett and Sam Whitelock, a lot of experience between those two, slotting in as the locks. Ethan Blackadder recently returned from injury. He looked good in his first game, and he will continue to get better. Christian Leo Willie at 8, and Tom Christie out on the other flanker side at number 7. Mitch Drummond, Richie Moonga, David Arveli, Jack Goodhue, Lester Whainaunuku, Sevu Reese, and then Fergus Burke at 15. For a while there, it sounded like I was listing off the All Blacks, but it is this Crusaders backline. They're extremely strong, and they will be hoping to get themselves their first victory of the season. Looking through quickly at the Highlanders, then we will be reading all of the messages you guys are putting through. Aidan Johnson, Andrew Makaleo, and Jermaine Ainsley as the front row. Then Pari Parkinson, also kind of in the same boat as Ethan Blackadder, recently returning. Scott Barrett asleep in the changing rooms or just doing, he's just doing some breathing. He's all right. And Will Tucker will be there at number 5. Billy Harmon at 6, the tackler machine up against his old Crusaders side. And that's actually something we can say about quite a few of these players, switching between the red and the black and then heading down south to Dunedin. Withy at number 7, and then Broughton comes in at number 8 due to Marino Makeli Tu'u's injury last week up against the Blues. Then it will be Hauiti Parapa, I should say, at number 9. Freddie Burns at 10, a big opportunity for him with Mitch Hunt instead coming off the bench. Thomas Umunga Jensen at 12, Josh Timu at 13, Connor Garden Bishop, Jonah Lowe, and Sam Gilbert will be making up the back 3. Looking through at the chat, we have got Novmum in the chat. Marco Vunipola is here as well. Kyron, Snakey, Sam Henry, Giga, also Inner Light. He said, where's Razor? Has he not travelled with the side? I'm sure he'd be over there in Australia, wouldn't he? I remember when he popped up randomly in Fiji when there was that Pacific Nations Cup thingy-mabob that was going on between Fiji, Tonga, Samoa, and Australia. Hello, says Cole. You have a very good commentary. I appreciate that, mate. Welcome in. Hope you're doing well. How are we, says Ed? I'm excited. 6 games of Super Rugby, all coming to us from AAMI Park, the same location. So hopefully more people turn up than they've got at the moment, or else I feel like it would be a waste to have a Super Round without a sold-out stadium. And Hamish Australia winning comfortably by 9 wickets, chasing down the target. They did indeed. So now heading into the next match, got to make sure they can do it again. And hi, happy to be happy. Or happy, you're happy, says Giga there. And where's Ethan Roots? Not de Groot. Where's Ethan Roots? Says Karen. Because, I mean, also Ethan Root and Ethan de Groot both missing from this matchup. They haven't got Ethan de Groot. They haven't got Aaron Smith. No Shannon Frizzell either. Here for the Warriors live stream, says Distracted Sports. It's a good point. Warriors going to be playing a little bit later on. In fact, no, they're going to be kicking off very soon up against the Knights, aren't they? Hopefully they do end up going all right. But Distracted Sports, are you keen to come on to talk to me and George after the Hurricanes versus Rebels matchup? We have got it all organised that he will be coming around for the second Super Rugby game of the day. Yeah, do let me know. But we will go like this and like this. These are the reserves, the players who might be able to change this game. Definitely if it's close like it was 6 years ago. Before this game, they were showing the highlights of that last-minute Mitch Hunt drop kick that won the Crusaders the matchup from 45 metres out. One of these players could be that player with that moment. Perhaps it could be the man himself, Mitch Hunt, coming off the bench for the Highlanders. But for the Crusaders, Brodie McAllister, George Bauer, and also Calder as the front row replacements. Gallagher and also Sione Havili Talatui at number 20. Hotham at 21, Brayden Enor 22, and then the young Macca Springer got a little bit of a debut last week. We'll be wanting a few more minutes throughout this Super Rugby Pacific season. Marshall, Leonard Brown, and Ma'u will be the front row replacement for the Highlanders, with Max Hicks and James Lynch's the other two forward replacements, Fakatava, Mitch Hunt, and Mosisi Dawai. Anyone who doesn't know that man, you certainly will when you see him out on the field, because he's probably going to run over someone and make it look easy. But now we are extremely close to the kickoff right now. Show over chat says Distracted Sports. And also we have got they are in the reserves. And good morning there, Hamish and Rugby fans. I'm today. I know that everyone on the commentary side of things did say the Crusaders are going to be victorious, because they always mention it's very dangerous, a Crusaders side who's just been beaten. But the question is, with the Highlanders being defeated recently, they're kind of a bit of a bogey team for the Crusaders. Yes, they don't always get the win. They keep it close. And on unfamiliar territory, without this game being at Orange Theory Stadium, perhaps it gives them just that little bit more of a chance. But it will be Freddie Burns kicking off for the Highlanders for the Super Rugby Pacific Super Round from Melbourne. Nicely taken by the Crusaders. About 30 metres out from their line, Drummond puts it back into the pocket to Richie Moonga. Relatively quiet last week. Moonga will certainly be hoping for more action this week. Sam Gilbert for the Highlanders returns fire deep into the 22 where Moonga was waiting. Now does try and find the touchline. Doesn't get it though. It's taken nicely by Connor Garden. Bishop goes across to Freddie Burns. A lot of people will know him from the Leicester Tigers more recently, but now has made his way down to Dunners. They have a crack for the Landers. Bit of a kicking battle between these two sides early. Jonah Lowe now receives it 40 metres out from the line. Great solid hit from David Harvili. You have to release him. Mitch Hunt trying to jump over the middle. In fact, Mitch Drummond, I should say. A roll back. Freddie Burns, chip and chase. And it's going back for the penalty against the Highlanders. Against the Crusaders. And also, hi, says Beds of Blaze. Welcome in. It's going to be a tough drive. Crusaders, in my opinion, has a big to differ. And evening, Hamish, brother. How are you, mate? Going Crusaders by 10. Doing very well. And yeah, I think Crusaders, I want to say it's going to be somewhere around 10 or less points separating these two sides at the end of the day. If the Highlanders win, I think it will be less than 7. Crusaders win, I think it will be between that 5 and 10 margin. Is the Premiership in England? It is indeed. And we'll pull the Crusaders up this game. There's Roof. Now line out for the Highlanders. It will be Andrew Makaleo starting this match. He actually came off the bench in the last matchup, whereas Reece Marshall now finds himself with that number 16 on his back. Nicely taken. Why it was Hotham. Big run forward from Thomas Umunga Jensen. Crusaders trying to cause a bit of disruption in the breakdown. Former Joe Moody. Another nice step. There's a random ad that's popped up on our scoreboard. That's slightly unfortunate. Kicked him behind. Taking the mark there, Richie Moonga. Inside of his 22. We'll quickly get that to go away. One moment. We'll go like this. Like that. And we'll go like that. And then we'll go like that. There we go. Science. All sorted out. And good game. Crusaders are wounded. They must be hurting and dangerous, says Roof. Now another line out for Andrew Makaleo early on. A lot of possession for the Highlanders, but they need to keep this up for the full 80 minutes. They want any chance. And I would say for them to have a real crack at winning this game, they need to score the first try of the matchup. Now, once again, go on to Freddie Burns. Nice hands. Jonah Lowe finds himself with a bit of space. The ex-Chiefs winger going through. Ethan Blackett has to get him around the bootlaces, though, to stop him. The Highlanders move up to 25 metres out from the Crusaders line. It's going to be maybe deliberately knocked down. They're going to say play on just for now, and it bounces up for Jack Goodhue. Controls it well. Offload to Tom Christie now. Crusaders, all of a sudden, this is their first attack of the game, and they are certainly not going to give up the opportunity. Scott Barrett goes out to the winger. Fergus Burke actually finds himself out there rather than at fullback. Whereabouts is Severies? There he is. He's now lurking. Offload to Scott Barrett. It's gone straight through his hands. And it's going to be the Highlanders scrum. And Saracens had a lot of international people in their team in 2019, says Corin, and they still seem to as well. They are continuously getting those next talented waves of English players. And yeah, you look at their side now, the likes of a Max Malins, who wasn't really in the question a few years ago and now has proven himself at Saracens, gets into their side. Got the Crusaders winning this one, says Daniel, and hi, Hamish. Hi, everyone, sounding great. And good, bro, says William. Welcome in, mate. You are doing well. Currently, the Highlanders with 62% possession at the start of this matchup in Melbourne. Got themselves another scrum feed. The Crusaders, they had quite a few mistakes last week up against the Chiefs, and the Chiefs were the more clinical side. Highlanders in this matchup need to make sure they take their opportunities. They had a little patch up against the Blues where it was going well, but then another penalty goes the way of the Highlanders. Julia said, who should I bet on? I'm a dumb American degenerate gambler. I would definitely recommend not betting on Super Rugby then, because this is one of the competitions that are extremely hard to predict. Like this game, a lot of people would say the Crusaders should be victorious. Last 11 games, Highlanders up against other New Zealand sides have struggled. But the problem is the Crusaders come in as quite heavy favourites, which then means it's just not worth your money. Because if they lose, then you're down probably about maybe 8 more Crusaders wins before you make it back. It's just not a competition I would be at all interested in betting in. I can tell you that. We've seen a lot of people in the past in the chat come in saying, I've got money on this team, and they walk away with tears in their eyes and an empty bank account. Richie Mo'unga now going into Havili in the pocket. Good boot downfield to Sam Gilbert, who also has a decent boot on him, so he might decide to tap this one down towards the 22. Nice work from Richie Mo'unga. Another boot. Looking for the touchline. Doesn't find it. Jonah Lowe takes it nicely. There's been a lot more kicking in this match in the first 5 minutes than I think a lot of people anticipated, but that does seem to be the case with this South Island derby. You think it's going to be a margin of 20, says Daniel? These teams are normally close, so I'd say maybe not quite 20. Now, Freddie Burns, another step. The kick downfield, nicely taken by Jack Goodhue. Steps around Freddie Burns, almost gets around Josh Timu, his opposite number. Good work in the breakdown, and the Highlanders win themselves another penalty. Great work early in the breakdowns. Cut my finger really badly today. I almost needed a stitch. There's Ollie. And it's 9:10 a.m. still early. Come on, my Richie, sock it to them. Says the roof. Yeah, Richie Mo'unga, like I mentioned, didn't have the biggest game last week. It was quite quiet, but this week's going to have to be a lot more prominent. We've already seen him kicking a lot throughout this matchup. Is George going to be with us in the Rebels versus Highlanders? Or sorry, Hurricanes? He is indeed. DraftKings, I have a spread at 18.5. It's tricky because if the Crusaders are playing well, they could win this game by 30. But if they're not playing well, there's a chance they could lose this game by 15. That's the kind of thing that we saw in their game last week up against the Chiefs, where they were actually considered the 95% chance of winning. They lost by about 20. So that tells you Super Rugby at its finest, not a competition to go with in the betting odds. Unless you like losing money, then in that case, it's a competition for you. Oti Parapa looked like he was considering taking the quick tap, but instead the Highlanders might consider going for the 3 points. The Highlanders possibly picked up some valuable match fitness against the Blues last weekend, says William. Very true. Is that my phone or is it his phone? I heard a phone ringing. Well, it wasn't my phone. Tell you that my phone has run out of battery. They are heavy favourites for their previous game. Then they got spanked by the Chiefs. So, yeah, risky stuff betting on Super Rugby. Exactly right. Looks like it's going to be Sam Gilbert lining up the first kick of the day for the Highlanders. Leicester Whainā Nuku, the man penalised. And that breakdown, only bet what you can afford to lose. I'll put $5 on the Highlanders. So even if they do lose, I won't bet a lot. But if they win, I get $42.50. There's November Mum. And how many seasons have the Crusaders lost their first game, says Isaac? It's a good question. I mean, sometimes they are slow starters. Like this was probably the worst Crusaders preseason we've seen in a long time. They lost to the Highlanders, but it was a close game. Then the week before, I think they lost to the Hurricanes, didn't they? It's gone over, though. Nicely done by Sam Gilbert. And that'll now make this score 3-0 to the Highlanders after the first 8 minutes. And David has renewed his channel membership. Appreciate that, David. See, you still have Gabriella Sabatini, is it? Is that how you say her name? Something like that. There's the profile picture. Next time I place a big bet, instead of asking the wifey, she said 60. Still not a challenge to me. There's the snooze. And I says, Josephine, welcome in. Hope you're doing very well on this Friday evening for us here in New Zealand, maybe Friday morning, depending on whereabouts you guys are in the world. Now, Pari Parkinson charges at the line. Freddie Burns back in the pocket, boots it downfield, doesn't find touch though. Gonna be missing out on that opportunity for the line out now. Fergus Burke, the fullback for the Crusaders. They're still missing their Will Jordan. Was David Havili, in fact, last week who slotted in at fullback. Instead, they have given Burke the big opportunity. Drummond back to Moonga, passes across now to Cody Taylor. He was playing more like a 12 than a 2 there with the first receiver roll. Big shot on David Havili by Thomas Umaga Jensen, drove him backwards, knocked the ball on in the process, and go the Canes. We are going to be covering the game straight after this one. Me and George, one of the other Kiwi lads, are going to be playing up against the home side, the Rebels, the only home side in the competition. It's like Formula One lately. Favourites and champions don't often win the opening round, says the Cabbage Patch. Crusaders always start slow, says Josephine. And Gabriella Sabatini was a wonderful tennis player, says Ruth. 10 minutes in already. 3-0 at the moment for the Highlanders, so they'll be pretty happy with the way that they've managed to start this matchup. They do need to keep this pressure going and turn it into more than just the 3 points. But they've actually said the Crusaders the only side to be penalised in this game. And it's not just once. They've actually given away maybe about 4 or 5 penalties just in the short amount of time. In this matchup, that might end up being another advantage. It sure does. And it's going back for another penalty in favour of the Highlanders. Do you want sevens? Says Brandon. There is going to be the Vancouver Sevens this weekend, so we are going to be covering that as well. Why the state is so bad. Now, I think it just takes them a little bit to find their stride, but once they find it, they'll be good to go. It's just that getting to that point of finding that rhythm. And when David Havili played for Tasman, he got a 60-metre penalty kick, I think back in 2014. Very true. That is why some people have said that if Geordie Barrett is the 12 or David Havili is the 12, either way, you've got that long kicking option in the bank. Do you watch rugby league, NRL perhaps? I do watch a little bit of rugby league. I know that the New Zealand Warriors are going to be playing at the moment up against the Newcastle Knights. Bit of an overlap between those games and Super Rugby, though, but I'll be able to catch all the highlights of those matches after the weekend. That's going to be beautifully stolen by the Crusaders. Now, passed across to Jack Goodhue. They've got numbers on the outside. Sevu Reece, first touch of the ball for him. He's booted it way back downfield. Another bit of territory played. Sam Gilbert returns fire. It's close to that touchline. Out on the full mistake from Gilbert. And now the Crusaders have their first attacking opportunity inside of the Highlanders half. I think league is boring in my opinion. Don't be mean, says Kyron. I'm at the game. You should be able to see the stockade on the TV, says Amelia. And hi, Amelia, says Brandon there. And disciplined Crusaders are dismal. Come on, rhythm and basics, that's key. Or no. Jack Goodhue might have a bad groin. And I know exactly how that feels because I have had a terrible groin for the past 4 weeks. Every time you try and accelerate off that leg, you just kind of feel like you got no hope. Like as soon as you try and lift that leg up, it's done for. But it looks like he's going to continue just for now. Great run from Richie Moonga into the 22. Now Cody Taylor plays it quickly, gives it off to Sevu Reece. Havili gets it on the inside, quickly taken by Cody Taylor again. Very clean pickups from the hooker. Now Drummond goes off to Christian Leo Willie up against his old side, the Highlanders. Drummond goes across to Tamai Williams, inside ball. The Scott Barrett, Sevu Reece over. And the Crusaders get themselves the first try of really their first real chance. And 6-0 Knights, just saying, multitasking between the two games, says Nazi Williams. In fact, why aren't I multitasking between the two games? Sky Sport Now is actually a pretty decent app because you can watch one game at once. What we're going to do, we're going to put the Crusaders on that one, and then we're just going to drag the Warriors game onto our other screen. Sorted. Easy peasy. Sevu Reece is the GOAT. There's Kyron. Yeah, very good run from Sevu Reece. Breaking through one tackle. And then from there, we'll go like this. Go like this. Okay, we're not going to do that because apparently that puts us 5 minutes behind for the Crusaders. We'll refresh the kick The Crusaders, they'll be hoping that it is a successful one. What, Richie Moore, like this. And there we go. Just like that, the Crusaders find themselves with a 7-3 lead. Only took one moment for the Sadist to strike. You should be able to hear the drum come from the Rebels game. There's Amelia. My hair is going to very much annoy me. And TV3 broadcasting the Warriors game, says Daniel. Also, yes, try the Crusaders and DM NRL on 2. And Blues took the Landers to school last week, says DK. They did very well. Yeah. And the Highlanders not the worst New Zealand team? Right, so you're saying Highlanders aren't the worst New Zealand team? So who would you go with instead as the worst Sayari? Have you had to pick? Al Havili kicks it downfield. I haven't seen too much of Jack Goodhue ever since he had that bit of an injury. How can I pay my subscription for? I hope the Crusaders win. How can I pay my subscription? So if you're looking for a Super Rugby subscription, I recommend Sky Sport now. You'll be able to catch a lot of these matches, and also you'll be able to catch the other sports that are happening around the world. The kick from Gilbert down, finds the touchline. Fergus Burke heavily considered taking quickly, but decides against it. Right, I can see that Braden Eno is actually out on the field, so that is a replacement for Jack Goodhue. Is no longer out on the field. Has to be tonight. Says the snooze and hey, legend. Haven't been here since the last season. Good to see you, mate. Says Jake. Back at you. Hopefully, you are going to be enjoying the Super Rugby Pacific season. Islanders not getting off to the start they would have liked for their first match, but always room for improvement. The rolling maul for the Crusaders, 40 metres out from their own line here. Like Drummond's going to be waiting for it at the back. Go for the possible pocket. Yep. Go back to Richie Moore. Now boots it down the middle of the park. Gilbert waits for the bounce. It looks like it's going to keep on rolling, and it stops about half an inch from the dead goal line. And a great kick downfield from Sam Gilbert to be able to get that clearance down past the 40 metres under pressure into Sky New Zealand. They have NRL2. Might get a VPN if it does. It does indeed. And you also get all the cricket. I mean, the Kiwi Lad subscription for you, says Kevin. So that will be the join membership button on the main homepage, I believe, is where you'll be able to find that one. Yeah, Rabada destroyed the West Indies. One-man army. There's Yanri. Come on, the Highlanders, says Gareth. Short ball to Ethan Blackadder. Drummond. Now going back up to Moody. David Arvili, nice wide pass to Christie. It's gone through his hands and it's knocked on in the process. Almost ends up cleaning up the Highlanders medic. Jumping off the field. New season, a great play-by-play high from the States, says Robert. Welcome in. And do we have Discord? Says Ed, we do. We actually do have a Kiwi Lads Discord server. One moment. We'll go like this. Go like that while we've got this little stoppage in play. Create invite. That, and then like that. There you go. That is the link to our Discord server, ladies and gentlemen. On there, you will see the posts of when we have got live streams coming up in the future. And also just a little bit of general sporting chats in there as well. 17 minutes through at the moment. Melbourne not quite having the capacity in terms of the numbers in the stadium. Do you guys have a Reddit? We don't. No, I wouldn't know how to use Reddit, to be honest. It's one of those ones that I've never worked out. Gone down on the front rows again. So we're up there, Argy Bargy between Aiden Johnson. Not too happy about. I think that was Tamaiti Williams. So those two are two massive individuals. Kyron says, Robert, Hurricanes and the Highlanders are the worst New Zealand team that with only one Super Rugby trophy. There's Yandri. Crusaders to score again soon on a roll. There's Roof. Front row is certainly an intimidating one for the Crusaders. You've got Cody Taylor and Joe Moody, both have a massive amount of experience at international level. And you've got Tamaiti Williams, who I believe in the future will have a lot more All Blacks experience. Fekatoa still in his 20s? No, I believe he's about 33. Malakai Fekatoa, if I'm not wrong, that's gone down on the front rows again. Same scrum, causing quite a few issues at the moment by the looks of it. Thanks, lad. Here's Ed Vogel. I'm going to look up AAMI Park capacity. How many? It can hold 30,000 people, and I would say at the moment for a Highlanders versus Crusaders derby, 7,000, 8,000, maybe. Not great, unfortunately. Who's pulling Hemi? Is this news? Is that who's pulling away? I think if either of these sides are going to run away with this game, it will be the Crusaders. But the Highlanders, if they can keep this close into that kind of half time, Fikatoa is 30, turning 31 this year. Oh, he's actually a little bit younger than I thought he was. And wasn't Hurricanes doing well for a few years? Tanu Umaga played for them. Did he get his name correct? He did indeed. Now coaching rugby. He's also got a podcast, Tanu Umaga. Our ball goes out the back. Highlanders win another penalty. Scrum time at the moment has been dominant by just one side only, and that is the Highlanders. Why isn't he still in the ABs? He's current. They just didn't really find a fit for him. Plus, he's a very hot and cold player. He'll either play extremely well and make you think, how did he even miss out? Or he'll play extremely badly and you think, how did he ever get in? That is 6 penalties in a row against the Crusaders in this contest. Highlanders yet to give away one. And Super Round should not be in Melbourne. Melbourne is AFL City, not rugby, says Ed. I wonder how it would have gone in Brisbane, to be honest. Like, I know that Melbourne, of course, got to get in behind it, but where was the Super Round last year? Was it at Suncorp? Is that why they went to Melbourne this time? And so the pressure is in that row, says the snooze. Does look that way. And always says, Nate, welcome in. Long throw from Andrew Makaleo, nicely taken by Sam Whiffy. Now Umaga Jensen driving up nicely for the Highlanders. That's going to be the big knock on from Billy Harmon when he was attacked. Well, not attacked, sorry, when he was tackled by his opposite number. Well, he was gigantic talent from here against the Stormers a few years ago, Tana Umaga. And also, we have got there the Vic government pays for all sports, hoping for the locals to forget their 2-year lockdown and curfews. That's annoying. Now, I think I told you the Rebels never ever been in the Bulls, can't remember. There's Yanri. Good morning from Kenya, says Boderick Full. Welcome in, mate. Hope you are doing very well. Very excited for the Sevens, where Kenya will be playing. This upcoming weekend should be an awesome first matchup between them and Fiji. That looked a little bit high on. Yep, it sounds like it is. No? Okay, it sounded like they were going to go back for it. And I think the TMO said it would have only been a penalty. And then Nick Berry was like, yeah, okay, but I want to do the scrum. Now the Crusaders, they will have themselves the feed. Struggling a little bit so far throughout the early stages of the match. The Crusaders come out the back. Christian Leo Willie goes to Drummond, who now goes off to Richie Mwanga. Brayden Eno does the little grubber in behind, and he's certainly out there on the field earlier than anticipated. The bounce is awkward, and it sits up for Gilbert, who does a nice flick pass on the inside. I think it was Thomas Umaga Jensen who received that pass. That was action that was happening too quickly to call. Now Parapari Parkinson. And almost going through. Burns, quick hands, almost dropped ball, and it was from Jermaine Ainsley. Good afternoon, boss moderator. Hope all is good. There's a Nate there. It's pretty decent. It's good weather here today. I might have gone a little bit more burnt. Hopefully not. Sam Gilbert, great pickup. And Thomas Umaga Jensen with that flick pass around his back to Low. And last year was Melbourne 2. The one that held in Brisbane was Rugby 10, I think, says Ed. Yeah, see, I don't know why it's always in Melbourne. I would have thought a Super Round, the point of it would have been to put it in different teams' territories each and every year. So if it was Melbourne Rebels last year for the Super Round, you'd go like Suncorp Stadium this year for the Super Round, or go to a New Zealand stadium, Eden Park, all games taking place there for the weekend. It's interesting that it's always Melbourne. And it's probably the stadium, unfortunately, that would get the least amount of people to it. Now, beautiful inside ball to David Arvili. Freddie Burns tried to tackle it a bit too high, and now knock on. Looks like Sam Gilbert might have hurt his shoulder. Referee actually just checking on him there, seeing if he is all right. 10 minutes out from their own line, though. They have got one less kicking option, but they've still got Freddie Burns in the pocket, which does look like it will be who they decide to go to. And he has said Sevu. There's Sevu Reese, the lone try scorer in this competition. Kick high, kick long, goes into touch. They said they're inside from an opportunity, says this news. And only Sevu has says, Kiwi lads do commentary fabulous. There's Roof. And who scored, bro? Yeah, so it was Severeese. Got that first try. Long throw from the Crusaders. Drummond goes off to Moonga. Wide slinging pass from Leicester. Whainanoku. Now Severeese. It was a good tackle attempt by Gilbert to slow him down. Crusaders, though, on the 22. Drummond to Enor. Whitelock. First carry for him. The experienced veteran of the Crusaders. Moonga goes to Barrett again. Running hard at Ainsley. Might almost. Oh, no. He's got out of there just in time. And the Highlanders continue their streak of not giving away a single penalty in this matchup. And Burke runs hard. Tom Christie now takes the carry, driven backwards. Nice work from Sam Withy. Now Cody Taylor, another big crashing run from him, and it looks like it might have knocked one of the Highlanders players a little bit silly. Drummond back across to Barrett. Repeated phases, and it's a knock on from Joe Moody. So the strong defense from the Highlanders forces the handling error from the Crusaders. And you can see the frustration on their faces. I wish I went to this game. It is in Melbourne, not too far away from Sydney. There's Mr. Lachlan. Is it raining where you are? And is the model garage still going? There's Kiwi Gamers. So, well, that was a big shot put into Joe Moody by Makalo. Not a lot of an arm wrap, to be honest. Just a dive at the knee. But, yeah, so it hasn't been raining down here. And I think the car one is still going. The model garage is still there, going by the tables. Here's who wins between these two. There's Kotiiwi. Also, would they have the Super Round in New Zealand sometime? Do you think the crowds would come? I think to a certain extent, like they would get a lot more in attendance because I'm wondering which game's going to be the big one that Melbourne actually has the most people in attendance. And I feel like it's probably not going to be Rebels versus Hurricanes, to be honest, even though that seems like the game that should have the most attention. It might be like the Blues versus Brumbies or maybe Fiji and Drua when they go head to head with the Waratahs might end up being as the most popular matchup. A lot of players sweating profusely out there. It's been a quick pace first 25 minutes, maybe Brumbies versus Auckland. Yeah, I think the crowd in Melbourne, quite a few Kiwis over there, so they'll want to see the Blues in action. Just need to capitalise on it, and who cares? There's Kota Iwi. I mean, whoever wins this game moves right up on the table, and then, depending on how it goes, like I can show the table here. I know that you're a backer of the Hurricanes, but if the Hurricanes get an upset loss to the Rebels, there's a chance that either the Highlanders or the Crusaders could actually end up above your Hurricane side, depending on how the result goes. And that one, the Canes says go to Iwi. There as well, that is going to be the penalty to the Crusaders, the first of the match against the Highlanders now. Or Joe Big Knock. There's Roof. Now the Crusaders 25 minutes in, looks like Richie Moonga will be taking on the 3 and no one knocking Blues off the top spot. There's Inky there. Last says Kotiiwi. And Chiefs and Blues is going to be the big game, man. Chiefs have made a statement. And 10th is not good. Only round one's ladder. There's Mr. Lachlan. Exactly right. Like, there's still plenty of time. If the Crusaders are somehow outside of the top 8 by the time we reach the quarterfinals, I'll be extremely surprised. The Landers, not so much, unfortunately. I feel like they might find themselves outside of the top 8. 11 metres out for Richie Moonga's kick. The probability, this is interesting. They've got it as 100%. But surely there's still like 99% probability of it going over. To say it's 100, like what if he twists his ankle on the way in and ends up butchering it? Like he won't. He'll get it over. Richie Moonga goes inside of the left-hand upright just. And that will be now 10 points to the Crusaders, 3 for the Highlanders. Come on, Richie, show them your heels. And Brumbies and Blues is the best logo of everybody, says Yanri now. And Chiefs Mana, strike Daiha. Blah, says Marco Vanapola. Now going to be playing up against Moana Pacifica in their next one. Do you think Caleb Clark holds down a wing spot for the World Cup? I think that left wing side probably, because now that we don't really have George Bridge in the question, there's only really Clark and Lester Whainanoku, unless Reese decides to switch to the left-hand side. Now, that's not saying they won't bring in someone like a Talisi Reasi, give him an opportunity. But I think he's probably the only other Kiwi guy at the moment who's got a chance. Nicely taken by Gilbert. Jeez, that's a steamrolling tackle by David Arvili. He's just willing to throw his body on the line, although he looked a little bit wobbly on his feet there. They might have to keep an eye on him. Reese exit him behind. And then he might have been taken out. Oh, that's risky. Billy Armin has forced that ball down, I believe. But you do not want to be messing around with the ball inside of your in-goal area. Minor Pacific have the best jersey in the comp. That thing is art. Is a cabbage patch. I had my haircut short, like really short. No, mum. I guess my hair is probably quite short compared to what it is, but I assume you've gone even shorter than this and probably up in that long, somewhere around there. Which are the favourites to win this match? Crusaders heavily the favourites. And Julian Savian needs to turn the clock back 7 years. We have our answer on 7, says Elon. He's going to be playing in the game later on tonight. It'll be an entertaining one because he is going head to head with Monty Ioane. Some people will know that man's name, some people may not. But one thing's for sure, talented player and a great signing for the Melbourne Rebels. Got a huge amount of skill. It's just going to be checking this one. So it's knocked out of the hands. That's grounded there. So the Highlanders have managed to get that one down inside of their in-goal area. And it's going to be a goal line dropout, I believe. Yeah, Rap's good, but the commitment will be there. There's the snooze. And also we have got there who's been the least best player in round one so far. Or who's had the worst? I don't know whether you can say one player who's had a really bad first round because most of the time, like what I would consider a bad first round is if you get injured early. So you'd probably say someone like Marino Makele too, but then up to that point he was playing well, so it's very tricky. There's Monty Ioane from Benetton. He is, yep. D-Mac, Perifero, and Bowden Barrett for the World Cup 10s, which he overrated. There's Inky. Any more streams coming up after this for today? We have got the next one already scheduled, which is the match between the Rebels and the Hurricanes. So that's going to be an exciting game taking place from 10:05 onwards, I believe. Got that live stream set, and we are going to have George with us for that next live stream, and also a post-match with Tony from Distracted Sports. Goal line dropout goes to Severis there, across to Leo Willie. Trying to go through Andrew Makaleo, but he's managed to take him down quite nicely. Moody running hard at the line. The Highlanders haven't really allowed too many meters from Crusaders actually running the ball, whereas when it comes to those kicks in behind, it seems like that's been Crusaders' more dangerous aspect of their attacking. Drummond goes to Moody. Now Moonga almost cut a gap through, finds the offload to Blackadder. To be held. Almost stolen in the breakdown. It is actually a great turnover. I think that was Josh Timu who got in there. Now Freddie Burns goes off to Gilbert. Looks like the Highlanders want to have a counter attack, but instead Jonah Lowe does put boot to ball. Crusaders already have numbers back there though to Richie Moonga. Almost said Mitchie Rawonga, but I don't think that's his name. Now it's gone high. Taken nicely by Freddie Burns again. Kevin has renewed his channel membership. Thank you very much, mate. Hugely appreciated. You have now got access to those exclusive emojis. Another penalty against the Highlanders. Sorry, against the Crusaders. They've been penalised way too much in this match. Why can't they play one half at the Highlanders' home ground and one half at the Crusaders' home ground? I mean, it would take a little bit of travelling, but they'd get there in the end, wouldn't they? You just got to have that 5-hour bus ride in between the halves. And mean the Breakers go the Canes. Says Kotiiwi. Of course, the New Zealand Breakers actually have their series up against the Sydney Kings at some point, don't they? This is the Super Round. All the games are played this ground this weekend. Says Novmum in there as well. Currently 29 minutes down. Freddie Burns. We've got a donation from Mr. Lachlan, the first of the weekend. Thank you very much, Mr. Lachlan. Did you want to put a message there? Because if you put another message, then I'll put it up on the screen for you. Yeah, if you got anything that you want to put, be sure to put it up. It was good work initially from Blackadder breaking through. Oh, yeah, Conagard and Basham actually took a knock in the side of the eye. Where was the hand of Tom Christie that ended up cleaning up? Have you ever met an All Black player before? Not in person, but we've done an interview with an ex-All Black on the YouTube channel. Makaleo goes to the front. Nice work. There's the Pari Parkinson ball slightly bouncing around. Noti Parapa receives it at the back, 40 metres out now for the Highlanders. Back into the pocket. Burns going to be kicking it awkwardly, find some space, looking to curve it into touch. Great kick from Freddie Burns. That possession game and the territory that they used to play at the Leicester Tigers working well and truly in his favour there. And Kiwi Lads, Marlo Bros says, Rogue, welcome in, mate. You're doing well. And starts in an hour, Kings versus the Breaker game 1. Yeah, that's going to be a good one. Hopefully the Breakers can start that series well. How much do you get all the super chat revenue, or YouTube cuts some revenue? YouTube do have their regular, I guess, percentage that they do take. Whakaleo. Now throws the ball in nicely, slapped back by, I believe it would have been Will Tucker. Manga Jensen tackled again by Havili, who's had a very physical matchup so far. Hauti Pararapa. Well, I think is it Parapara instead of Parapa? It might be Parapara. It just didn't fit in the thingy. Who knows what is going on with the Warriors tonight, says Modi. Sounds like they didn't have the best start. What about who had the best performance first round? There's Joe Webby. That's probably an easier question. You probably go with one of the Blues players, whether that is a Rico Ioane, whether that's, I mean, Bowden Barrett had a pretty solid game, but there's someone in that Blues backline. Caleb Clark also had a very good one. And how much subscribe I get over 2 days, says Brandon? It's very hard to tell. Richie Mo'unga now down the wing, sees the man on his inside, steps around Freddie Burns. There's going to be plenty of space now for some Mo'unga magic. Breaks another tackle, goes off to Drummond, ball onto Havili, and all they need to do is run it in. Fergus scores a try between the posts, and it's a field try from the Crusaders for their second of the match. Try time, says Herbert. And my favourite New Zealand player is Rico Ioane. The mic is lagging a bit, says Kyron. And also, I'll go to AAMI Park on Sunday for the Blues versus Brumbies. Save me money. There's Blues Nate. Nice deflection back from Severich. Reese, I should say, then Richie Mo'unga just sold Freddie Burns the complete wrong way. I don't know why I keep on trying to add R's in rather than the letters that they are. I think that's like the fourth time on this live stream I've tried to add an R into a random scenario. It's like I'm turning into a pirate. 32 minutes through. 15 points to 3 and a kick still to come. I met the Crusaders team. Says FaZe Ash there. Freddie Burns as reliable as Montgomery Burns. Says Rogue. Kick is successful from Richie Mo'unga. That will now make the score 17 points to 3 in favour of the Crusaders. The Sheds better lay in the smackdown. There's the snooze. They just had so many numbers. It was pretty much just a case of who wanted the try and who was going to get it over the line last. Which person did you meet first? There's Kyron. Nice work from Fergus Burke. 17 points to 3 at the moment for the Crusaders, leading over the Highlanders. They've kicked off high and nicely taken by the Crusaders. I believe it was, number 5. Yeah, it was Whitelock, in fact. Got lifted up for that one. Kicked him behind by Richie Mo'unga. Goes to Sam Gilbert. Now we'll go for the kick back and behind. Bouncing awkwardly for Richie Mo'unga. 22 metres out from his own line and kicks it in touch. Very good clearing kick into the half. Some of the All Blacks are Maori. Some have European origins, he's coding. They got a few Maori players in the All Blacks. Also, I mean, trying to think of someone. I mean, there's a lot of talk around, what's his face? Anton Segner as a possible All Black, and he is of German descent. So, could see him in an AB's jersey at some stage. Is it finished? No, it's still going. 34 minutes through at the moment. 17 to 3 favour of the Crusaders. Kicked him behind by the Crusaders. And now Connor Garden-Basham 5 metres out from his own line. Goes across to Gilbert, who's had a right little fumble of it. And now 5 metres out from the line, the Crusaders will once again have themselves the scrum. And evening games, Crusaders getting back on track. There's the flying man pan, or the flying pan man. Yeah, they're starting to find their rhythm here. And 6 minutes left in the half. They have to make sure that they do get themselves another just to really put their momentum in their favour. And with them being 5 metres out from the line, there is a high probability that try could be coming soon. Wheels falling off now, says Hanoi. Also, what a game. Love it, says Kevin. The 10 out of 10. And any news on the Warriors and the Knights? Says Blues Nate. I can tell you that currently in that matchup between the Warriors and the Knights, Warriors, they are actually leading 2 points to 6 as it currently sits. We'll keep you guys updated with what's happening along the way as well. Mark Talia is growing wings and power, bro. There's Monty. Yeah, he's going to be a very handy asset for the Blues in the near future. 5 metres out from the Highlanders line. Crusaders with the scrum feed. Christian Leo Willie breaks off the backs, knocked the ball on. That is a golden opportunity blown there for the Highlanders. Now will be a scrum feed. Favourite of the Highlanders there. And thanks, Hamish. Says Nate, no worries. What does that even mean? Yeah, I knew. I shouldn't have bet. Second half, better prove me wrong, says the snooze. Feel another try for the Saders coming up. And what a surprise, Oz win the test today. Says Annoy, yeah, they did pretty well. The Australians on a pitch that really didn't have much in it other than just being a spinner's paradise. Doing any on the Kiwi Lads Gaming channel like live stream? Not at this stage, not over the next couple of weeks anyway, until we get the new setup all sorted out. I just paid subscription for you, since Kevin. Hugely appreciated. And you will get those emojis once again, Kevin. So be sure to use those in the chat as well. Now the Highlanders, 5 meters out from their own line here. And the ball better. I should mention Aaron Smith. Some people will be wondering why he isn't playing. He's back next week. There's Hamish, home from work, who's playing. I say there's a head. There's a Spider Mix. So yeah, we've got this game at the moment between the Crusaders and the Highlanders. The next match will be the Hurricanes versus the Rebels. And that is kicking off at 10 New Zealand time, 10 past 10. Warriors winning 10 points to 6, by the way. They are indeed. Start to the match for the Warriors. Freddie Burns going to be kicking this one down into touch. Like this. Like this. There we go. Fix your mic, says Kyron. I think you're the only one who said that there's something wrong with it at this stage, Kyron. So hopefully it is only on your end, but that throw's not going to be straight. And that now means Makalari's a little bit disappointed. He's got a smile on his face, though. Feels like that was a little bit unfortunate. Current ABs, last decades, coding. Now the Crusaders, they'll have themselves these scrumpy. There's a lot of tired bodies out there. Scott Barrett is just waiting for a break. How can you stay online on Discord, says Brandon? It's in these settings. You can kind of set it up so that you do go online and offline. Looking at this back line, though. Richie Moonga, got him lurking there. Then alongside him, also going to have some very skilled operators on his outside. Braden Enor, Jack Goodhue no longer out there on the field, but they've still got Havili. Hamish, are you covering the Vancouver Rugby Sevens? We are, although we haven't got too much of the first day of the Vancouver Sevens, but we will be covering most of the second and the third day. The reason we haven't got too much of the first day is because I'm actually going to be playing cricket during the time that a few of the first matches are taking place. Now, good run from Whainanoko. Drummond goes back across, another big shot put in on Christian Leo Willie. Drummond goes off to Whitelock again. Brilliantly away at the moment here, Christian Leo Willie. Drummond back to Havili. A mighty Williams, good hands, although he didn't look where he passed the ball, and they'll go back for the penalty. 15 Will Jordan, 14 Mark Talia, Rico Ioane, and Geordie Barrett. Sean Stevenson, Bowden Barrett, Aaron Smith. Get it here. There's Rogue as the AB's back line. Sky Stadium, says Kyron. So that game will also be taking place at AAMI Park, as we are a part of the Super Round. 10 meters out from the line. Now, when you live stream, there's Brandon. So, do you live stream on Discord, Brandon? Is that what you're saying? Do you like to play defensive or attacking cricket training? Well, normally I need to work on my attacking play because I've been watching too much test match cricket and I play a lot like a test batsman. So pretty much, I just bore the opposition, the best way of describing it. Now, Cody Taylor, rolling maul, 5 meters out from the line. This is looking very good for the Crusaders. He goes over, and that will be the third try of the match now for the Crusaders. Looks like a few players have fallen down awkwardly. Might have been Sam Whitelock to tumble over the top, but that will be the third try of the match now for the Crusaders. 22 points to 3, but still a kick to come. And there's a real powwow ding-dong battle. Lots of tired bodies on the field, says Ruth. And thanks for the Rugby World Cup lineup, says Kyron. And Stevenson is a test caliber back. I think he deserves a chance, Sean Stevenson. And I don't know whether they're going to put him on the left wing, the right wing, or at fullback. But either way, one of those three positions, surely he gets some minutes at some stage in the future. Because or else then it's going to be the same scenario as a lot of other players. He's going to go overseas, and then they won't be able to get him back. Try, baby, and looking good. There's Mr. Lachlan. But they've actually given the try to Joe Moody there. So rather than the rolling maul with Cody Taylor at the back, actually stuck with Joe Moody a bit closer in. Richie Moong, another kick to come, Lowlanders. Doing what they usually do, says Corin. And try, says Kevin. But they've said Joe Moody might actually be struggling a bit here. He might be going off the field for the second half, and still no Will Jordan. Not quite. I think he's not too far away, but he is still out just for now. Their kick is successful, and the score at halftime between these two sides, 24 points to 3 in favour of the Crusaders. So it did start a little bit slow, or a little bit slow for the Crusaders, sitting after 10 minutes 3-0 down, and they continued to build up and did what they normally do, and that is get that set piece going. Is this a super smash of rugby we see in New Zealand cricket? Not quite. I'd say that super smash is more like the Bunnings NBC in a way. It's kind of the next level up from that type thing. Is Moody injured? Looked like he had a little bit of a rib injury, but he should hopefully not have anything too serious. Will Nankivell end up playing for Islanders? Is Maka Vunipola? It's a good question. I mean, he is going to be going overseas, isn't he? Getting away to Munster in the near future. Why can't Foster just quit now, Hamish? Why after the World Cup? You really think he's going to win us the Cup, says Spider-Meek? At this stage, we mentioned this about 6 months ago as well. It's not so much the, like, he's got New Zealand rugby hostage to a certain extent. Because the thing is, if he quits or resigns, he doesn't get paid the rest of the money on his contract. Whereas if he sticks it out and if they fire him, he gets all that money as that's what's agreed on in the contract, if that makes sense. So there's no point in his eyes giving it up because or else then he just loses his payday. And Hamish, you should go live with 2 Cents Rugby again. We will hopefully do it at some stage, and hopefully the Wi-Fi is a little bit stronger. G'day from Cambodia, Hamish. How are you doing, Vancouver Sevens this weekend? We certainly are. On the first day of the Vancouver Sevens, we haven't actually got a huge amount of the matches. It's more the case of, unfortunately, it overlaps with our cricket match that we're playing in real life. We've got a semi-final. Yeah, I'm looking forward to taking part in, but I'm also very nervous. It's going to be our toughest game yet, and we're up against a very strong side. Like, they've brought players back from Australia to take part in this matchup. Rip Highlanders got to play the best. Got to play the best 3 teams in the first 3 weeks. There's mate. Yeah, it doesn't get too easy, does it? And Stunny Bill applying the street/hood commentary to the broadcast. And those gaps say this ref trying to get Sky on. But also we have got the Ian Foster's daughter is a split image of Sam Kane's dad, Ian Foster. Is Marco. So those teams are like our NFL teams here in the USA, professional rugby. I guess so, to a certain extent. Like, it's the biggest level that you can have other than internationals for these guys, whether they're playing in Super Rugby or the URC, Premiership, any of those comps. It's kind of like the next step down from international. Foster might not win the World Cup, but at this point, it's highly unlikely a new coach will even have enough time to prepare a World Cup winning game plan either. Very true. And any guess with a new coach, brother, says Modi. Well, it's interesting because if Ian Foster somehow pulls a World Cup out and manages to win it, then if the New Zealanders sack him, he's getting probably another big money deal with some other country. Because being a coach with a World Cup under your belt, no matter what your previous results were, you've won a World Cup as a coach. So everyone will be after him. So, I mean, Razor's still a good option for the Kiwis, I think. But if it doesn't end up going well with Razor, I feel like kind of stuck in between a rock and a hard place if it doesn't work out. We cover England versus Bangladesh second ODI. First ODI was very competitive and close. We will not be the England versus Bangladesh second ODI. Just too much other stuff on at the moment. And Foster's as terrible as the Aussie Langer with the same name. There's Rogue. He hasn't coached a World Cup before. There's Byron. Aussie will prevail and do the business, I think, says Roof. Joe returned from injury. Now he's injured again. Hopefully positive news for Joe Moody. I think it was just he was kind of doing this and stretching out the rib cage. So what I think's happened is he's probably been landed on when he did that rolling maul. Maybe a player's just landed right on his back and might have hurt him a little bit, but tough man. Hopefully he's going to be all right. And cheers, bro, says Muddy. Does Fozzie staying on till the Cup? Yep. So they aren't getting rid of Ian Foster until after the World Cup, if they get rid of him, that is. Just because to send in a new coach now, we're about to find out with a few of the other Northern Hemisphere sides. Luckily for them, they've got this 6. Now, then they've got the July internationals. That's about maybe 9 games or so to be able to work out your new strategy, work out what the plan is. Whereas for some of these Kiwi, Aussie type sides, you've only got about maybe 5 or 6 games until you get to that World Cup. So you don't want to change it too much now just in case it ends up costing you, but then not changing it could also cost you. So it's just double-edged sword. And if they don't give Razor a shot, he's done. He'll go overseas, probably. And it will be interesting because I know on the cricketing side of things, Brendan McCullum got a lot of stick for going overseas because everyone was like, why is he not coaching the Kiwis? And it's like, but the Kiwis had a coach. They went with someone else. So that could be the same scenario here. If the Kiwis are stuck with Foster, Razor, he'll be like, okay, I tried. I've been loyal for this long. I'm going to Fiji. I think Eddie Jones doesn't have much time with Oz. Get it right this year and give Foster a chance. What's the series here at home? And worse, Argentina humiliated us here in our own backyard. There's Spider Mick in there as well. You're not the best, but who knows what happens in this World Cup? It's going to be a tricky one because there are so many competitive sides all taking place in the same short format. Like I always think of a World Cup as something that takes a long time, but it's only going to be about a month and a bit the World Cup happens for. And all you need is a good group stage. That's 4 games, quarterfinal, semi-final, final. If you play 7 decent matches, you win a World Cup, and you get to say that you've won that World Cup for the next 4 years until something else happens. No matter how badly South Africa play at any stage since that World Cup, anytime someone in our chat or anywhere has said South Africa are struggling, what's the first thing you see? Yeah, but we won the World Cup. So you've got that bragging right of being able to say, yeah, but we're world champs. We got the trophy in the cabinet and it's still there. Might not be the next World Cup, but we still got it now. And we better get it though. Congrats to the team who have adapted and worked it. But New Zealand will always be the biggest test. Here's this news. You see Scotland doing the box from Pool B. A massive upset. I mean, Scotland at the moment have looked pretty strong. And yes, their game up against France didn't go the way they would have liked. But the crazy thing is, Scotland, if they were put into the group with Australia and whatnot, I think they go through. If they're put into that group with England and Argentina, I think they've got a real shot of going through. But the group that they're in is just so tricky because you've got Ireland and South Africa. Can you imagine the scenes if Scotland beats South Africa? That would be huge in its own right. But if then Ireland beats South Africa, that would mean more than likely the South Africans would miss out on a quarter final. Like someone in that group who's going to be a massive threat to any side they come up against, that is Scotland included, will be missing out on the chance of going through into the playoff games. Chiefs will indeed win the Super Rugby and to be champions, says Marco. And I think the Chiefs will have a big shot to win the Super Rugby season. What do you think, Hamish? I think they're looking like a really good side at the moment, the Chiefs. Something's happened in the last kind of 2 or 3 years. It's completely changed the way that they play their game, and it's changed it for the better. Scott Box versus Springboks, says Marco. Sonny Bill's commentary has worsened since Mark Hunt KO'd him. Is Sonny Bill doing any more boxing? Got any more coming up? And is Mark Hunt, I think he's retired, hasn't he? I know that Gallen gives it a crack every once in a while, and that fight between them. Did it ever happen, Gallen versus Sonny Bill? I think it might have, didn't it? Fraser wants to go to a World Cup, says Isaac. Ireland are the serial chokers of the World Cup playoff history. There's Rogue. And Argentina beat us at home and want Scott Robinson to be the coach then. There's Kyron. Not too far away from the next matchup. We can actually see there the Savia brothers having a bit of a chat with Sonny Bill Williams. They will be playing up against the Rebels. That is taking place in about 1 hour and 15 minutes time. It's not too far away at all. We are going to have a guest on that live stream. It will be myself and it will be George, one of the other Kiwi lads. You guys know him. He swears a lot, so I will apologise in advance for his bad language that he does end up using, but he might be slightly behaved. Bring Smithy in April to win the World Cup only, says Daniel. And Gallen has been wanting to hock us Sonny Bill Williams for about a decade now. Have they still not fought? I swear they were extremely close to fighting like about half a year ago. And then they just never did. Jason, a battle What is a battle reminded me of the cheeseburgers at Macca's, the Blues. Reminded me of Lion's old man about that Barrett. Can't wait to share a convo against her. So the Chiefs remind you of a cheeseburger from Macca's. How so? Adi Savia is one of the fastest forwards ever. He's going, and the Chiefs look like one of the most promising Super Rugby New Zealand franchise teams with the Blues. There's Gita. I think it's going to be a very exciting one to see how that matchup goes when the Blues play the Chiefs. They both have a lot of skill. And preseason, it went down to the wire with them, and then the Chiefs were actually able to get themselves the victory. And Chiefs have played very well under Clayton McMillan. They had a bad season when Warren Gatlin took over for a season. Yes. So, what we're quickly going to do is we're going to go like this, and we are going to quickly see some stats do with that first half between the Highlanders and the Crusaders. It started off with a lot more possession in favour of the Highlanders, but then as the match progressed, possession went lower and lower for them. Currently, they do have 51% of the possession for this one. The running meters 278 for Crusaders compared to the 106 of the Highlanders, and they are yet to score themselves a try in this contest. 15 defenders beat them for the Crusaders, 6 for the Highlanders, 5 clean breaks for Crusaders, none for the Highlanders, and a whole 8 offloads compared to none for the Highlanders. And who's next after this game, Q lads? It is going to be the matchup between the Hurricanes and the Rebels. They'll be playing at 10 past 10 New Zealand time. And because you get a free mini rugby ball hammy. Oh, so you're saying it's like you get a Happy Meal toy? No, maybe not. And back when it fitted the ads on TV to throw a nerd spiral. News and Tupa and Big Pone Fa'amasili. The Rebels next year. How good? Gonna be a big front row, that is for sure. And Hurricanes versus Rebels next, bro. Here's Rogue. How good is he? Is Hanoi. Looking through at individual player stats. Now, I will mention we did see that sub made for the Crusaders. That was actually Jack Goodhue injured, and they may have Joe Moody actually injured now as well. Would be a little bit unfortunate. Is Joe on or off? We have to wait and see what does happen in that second half. I believe he won't be returning, though. I think it would be too risky to try and have him go in, definitely if he has got some sort of injury lurking. And then when exactly is the World Cup hard to keep up with in the USA? It does not make the national news. No one pays attention to our national team. So the World Cup is going to be happening. I believe it starts on about the 7th of September. I'll quickly make sure that that is the right day, though. Rugby World Cup. I know that the first match is New Zealand versus France, which will be an absolutely awesome way to start the World Cup. In fact, it might be the 8th of September that it does end up taking place, or the 28th of October. Are you commentary that Hurricanes versus Rebels game? We are. I will have a guest with me on that live stream as well. One moment. We will go like this. And yeah, Warbrick's aerial AFL skills and strength too much, bro. Rogue Luku. Yeah, that Rebels game might be quite intriguing. Hey, brother, says Maxi. Welcome in, mate. Hope you're doing well. And hope you're excited. The Crusaders currently 3 tries already on the board. 1 more to go till they get themselves, or in fact, they're actually already in a bonus point position with the 3 or more tries. The key thing here, though, is just continue the speed that they're playing at. USA club teams should join Super Rugby. Well, they've currently got the MLR, which is recently firing up again. I believe they're up to round 3 now, and I have a nuns of that ace. I am spamming Fixie Mike. Good job. Excuse me. Cheers, Nate. This is the first match of the Super Rugby season. It is the second. So at the moment, the way that it sits, this is the table. The Highlanders in last, the Crusaders in 10th. That certainly isn't going to be the case after this game for one of these two sides. I believe the Crusaders more than likely at the end of the second round will find themselves maybe in about 6th or 7th if they end up victorious in this matchup. And did you do your training finally? Still planning it at the moment, Maxi. It's ended up being that those middle of the night live streams make it very tricky to find the schedule, but I'm hoping to do it over a longer period of time than just the kind of 7 days or so. I want to be able to find a full month where I can set it out and have it like smoothly running. It's actually almost rugby season as well, which kind of works well with it perhaps. I'm beaming in for Dubai or from Dubai today. There's Maxi. What are you doing over in Dubai, Maxi? Joke, what do you call a green troll playing in the Blues midfield? Roger Tavasa, Shrek. Okay, okay. We'll allow that one. Second half just about upon us, though. It will be Richie Moonga kicking off for the Crusaders. Osumanga Jensen, pretty decent first half. Sam Whitelock, relatively quiet, but had a couple big moments for his side. Now, waiting for the second half start up. Here we go. We are ready for a second 40 minutes at AAMI Park. Nicely taken just inside of the 22 now by Tucker. It's like a lot of pressure in this breakdown by the Crusaders, and Sever Reese has actually popped out of the breakdown with the ball in hand. Cody Taylor crossed to Christie option, but instead does hang on to it, taking it to ground. Moonga rush defense from the Highlanders almost leaves a gap. A big shot on Reese by Johnson. Raiders gives it off to Joe Moody, so that answers the question of whether Moody was going to be starting after a slight injury in the first half. Brandon Eno short ball to Mighty Williams. Raiders still 15 metres out from the Highlanders line. The penalty advantage now in the Crusaders' favour also. Moody charges at the line. Makaleo drags him down low, or drags him down low around the bootlaces. Christian Leo Willie, the legs driving 10 metres out now. Drummond back into the pocket to David Arveli, who's going for some sort of banana kick. Looks like Moonga does take it. Scores the try. And that will be the Crusaders' fourth try of the fixture now. They find themselves 29 points to 3. This game, or a game that had 3 points of the Highlanders to start us off, ever since then it's become a lot more one-sided. And when are you going to break out the Blazer and tie again? Probably in I'd say it's got to be a couple months. It's currently very warm here in New Zealand, so I would be sweating bricks if I had it on today. And Hamish Crusaders making up for those losses. There's Roof, and they're trying to increase that points differential as well, by the looks of it, and just doing some charity stuff, heading to India in a few days. There's Maxi. So I remember you mentioned about the India leg of your travels a while ago. We were going to try and get you set up in our table tennis competition that was taking place over there, but you were going a lot more north, weren't you? And voila. Go Crusaders from Cape Town, says Christian. FYI, America is hold the Rugby World Cup in 2031. They certainly will. Also means that they will automatically qualify for said World Cup. But now at the end of the first half, they found themselves sitting on 24. The start of the second, after 2 minutes, the Crusaders now 31 points to 3. What the hell happened to Will Jordan? Will he be available for the World Cup? He certainly will be. It's just the last few weeks he has been missing. I believe he's going to be returning not too far away, though. Bonus points there, Spider-Mink. At the moment it is, but Super Rugby, it's a little bit different because it is whoever wins has to win it by 3 or more tries ahead of their opposition. So currently, the way that we're sitting, they have actually got a 2-try in that regard for the Crusaders. Can't see the Landers coming back from this now, says November Mum. Yeah, it seems like more than likely the Crusaders getting up with 50 on the board rather than a Highlanders comeback. Also, I hope Jack Goku gets better with his knee. Here's Rugby 02. Reminds me of Carlos Spencer stealing Andrew John's banana kick back in the day. He's rogue. 8 penalties against the Crusaders compared to the 3 of the Highlanders. Okay, Jonah Lowe's failed his HIA, they've just mentioned, so now it will be Mosisi Dawa gets the opportunity of shells the hot stuff. That is Rugo. Rugo, boys. There's Roof. Line out throw now. Cody Taylor feeds it in. It wasn't the straightest one I've ever seen, but it is straight enough for it to continue now. Drummond, nice pass back from Arveli. Although it goes loose. Couldn't guard him. Bashaby had a chance to kick it through. Ended up messing it up, though. Thrown back by Josh Timu. Rasta Mosisi Dawai. And I mentioned in the first half, keep an eye on that man when he makes his way on the field. That is a blatant penalty from Christian Leo Willie. So now Freddie Burns, while the Highlanders trying to have a run of his own. Short ball. Knocked back by Billy Harmon. Now there's the knock on, but we'll go back for the penalty. Jack Goodhue gets better. There's a Rugby 2 and up the Was. There's Mr. 267. Of course, Waratah is going to be taking place in a game tomorrow night up against the Fijian Drua. were able to get themselves a good victory up against Moana Pacifica with that last minute try scored. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the Fijian and Moana Pacifica sides can do in the Super Rugby season. I want to see them finish a little bit higher than they did last year, and perhaps one of them make it through the quarterfinals once again. Possession 56% in favour of the Crusaders. Andrew Makaleo back to throw the ball in. Nicely taken by Pari Parkers. And once again, another mistake, though, from the Highlanders. Just a miscommunication, and Blackadder was able to pounce on it early. Back across, Havili. A boot downfield taken by Connor. Arden Bishop. He was one of the standouts last year. While the Highlanders pass across to Mosisi Dawai, who's got a bit of space. Now running across Braden Inor. Shuts him down early. Havili gets on the ball, almost had it, wins the penalty for the Crusaders. Very, that is the penalty. I think that Super Round should be in New Zealand next year, not Melbourne. There's Mr. Lachlan. Or even if you're going to keep it in Australia, have it somewhere else other than just in Melbourne type thing. Like have it in maybe Brisbane, have it at Suncorp Stadium. Where else could they go? I mean, they could head to New South Wales and go or got Drua over the Tars. The big one was on Highlanders over the Crusaders. Let me naught my paper bet. I think the chat's normal now. Hopefully, sorry, remove it or whatever it is. Parasite says Blues Nate. I think it was a child, Nate. New Zealand brings bigger and better crowds in Super Rugby. Is Mr. Lachlan. I was like, yes, they are. Is Rugby 02. And it's going to be thrown in by Cody Taylor, well taken at the front by Whitelock. Tom Christie goes back across to Christian Leo Willie. And behind Muku down the wing. 22 metres now between the Crusaders and another try to Mighty Williams. Makes an extra 5 with the pick and go. Drummond goes across to Christie. Big smash and shot on him by Jermaine Ainsley. Very well done by the Highlanders, but they needed that turnover and they now were able to find it. Which is your favourite YouTuber that you follow? Is coding. Rugby related or in general coding? Think about it. Or in general? Handling errors currently sitting on 8 for the Crusaders, 4 for the Highlanders. And I was like, what do you think, Highlanders rolling balls should be banned, says Spider Meek? No, I don't think so. I don't think it's one that they'll get rid of anytime soon because when you think about it, one of the sides that do it probably the most, or a couple sides that do it the most, the likes of a France or an England or someone like that, and they've got the most members on that kind of rugby board, don't they? So you're not getting rid of it anytime soon. And in general, for enjoyment purpose, I mean, I don't get to watch a huge amount of YouTube, but I probably watch, like, I mean, I watch a Sidemen Sunday each week. Some of you will know what that is. But, like, other than that, I don't really get a chance to watch a huge amount of YouTube just because if I'm not live streaming, I'm either sleeping or I'm editing or I'm filming. So, like, even today, earlier on in the day, we were out actually filming something at the park. So that'll be coming out at some stage in the next 5 months, I'm sure. So, I mean, let's go, says the Cabbage Patch. One person knows them by the sounds of it. Nicely fed in. Highlanders deep inside of their own 22. Big run from Osisi Dawai. Place for Waikato. And the Bunnings NBC, Freddie Burns. Going for the cross kick. Bit on it. Garden Basher puts it back on the inside. Braden Inor also trying to put in a big hit there. The ball bounces out the side to Tom Christie. Offloads to Leo Willie Whitelock to Blackadder. Big fend on Pari Parkinson. Almost an awkward fall for him. Now Drummond off to Havili, who just gets to jog it in. And the Crusaders score themselves another. Also, aspects of the game have been certified. There's this news. And also, we have got the Hamish. Do you know who Mr. Beast is? I do, yes. He's he's a slightly large YouTuber. He's a very big YouTuber, Mr. Beast. This is a nice turnover in the breakdown. Tom Christie spotted it straight away, got it off to Blackadder, and then just inside ball to William, throw to David. Billy. I agree needs to move to Perth, Brizzy, Sydney, or New Zealand. Visits Victoria Rugby for the training teams and the New Zealand and other Oz team sides. They had no idea. And nothing rugby wise is promoted in Victoria at all. ABE's rubbish number 12 for Havili is Marco Vunapola. Was a redemption from last week, says Mr. Lachlan. For the Crusaders. And how did Moana Pacific and Fiji Drua got into the Super Rugby because this is the second season for both of them in Super Rugby? It is. So they decided to make the competition rather than being 10 sides, they added a Moana Pacific side that currently are based out of Mount Smart Stadium, but eventually I'd like to think a few more of their games will be taking place in the Pacific Islands. And then the Fiji and Drua, they're a side that have been doing very well in the NRC in Australia for quite some time, and they decided why not add them up, put them into this competition and see exactly how they end up going. But Drummond now puts the ball high. Nicely taken by Sam Gilbert. 40 metres out from the line at the moment. And it looks like Fala Fakatava has been put on the field. That is for Hauti Parapara. Run from Hicks. Recently come out onto the field. That is for Will Tucker. And do agree. I see a Barrett at 12. I have 15 and fullback striking punts. So I mean, do rugby, by the way. Is Rugby 02. I think I've seen one series, I think when they did something that's gonna be a knock on. In fact, I think it was just JJ who did it though. That's why you don't bet on Super Rugby, says Isaac. Exactly right. That's the thing. If you always back the Crusaders to win, if they lose, like you lose your money that you would have won from backing them about 7 times. So it's just not worth it. And Blackadder has McCall like with his off the ball work and breakdown hustle. And I'm glad to see him back because if he's going to be there for the World Cup, I think he's going to be our starting number 6. 30 degrees on Sunday. Will that harm the Blues' chances? It'll certainly make it warm, although we've had some pretty good weather here in New Zealand as well. So I don't think it will phase them hugely because of the hot conditions we have already been having. Do Highlanders don't have good players? That's why they're not playing well? I mean, they're probably, out of all the New Zealand sides, they've got the least well known side, I'd say, unless you do follow the provincial competition here in New Zealand. Like, you're missing at the moment Ethan de Groot, a notable name. Shannon Frizzell, notable name. Aaron Smith, notable name. Other than that, all of their guys are probably provincial players rather than All Blacks. And there's Ralph Fakatava. He might spark something for the Landers. And also, we have got the Blackadder stays on side. Oh, and Blackadder stays on side, says Isaac. Fakatava about to put the ball in for the Highlanders on the halfway line. Slowly starting to feed in some more supporters at the ground in Melbourne. Waiting patiently for this ball at the back. It's going to be, I would say, almost would have been a Crusaders penalty had it not bounced out the back for the Highlanders. The last moment, Fakatava now back into the pocket to Freddie Birds. Not a lot of time for him to get that kick away, but Steve Reese does get it 5 metres out from the Crusaders line. Now it's that brilliant kick from Severis. They will not take that one quickly either. And so as Moana Pacifica made up 10 players from the Pacific Islands, exactly right. So you've got players from Tonga, Samoa, some from Fiji, some from the Cook Islands. I believe they've got 1 or 2 Islands players in there. And then other than that, it is mainly just players from the provincial competition. And actually that is where a majority of these Moana Pacifican players do play. Only how long to wait for the second half, says Leonard Taylor. We are 10 minutes into the second half at the moment. Mighty Williams, don't know whether he got a hand to that. Yes, he did so. It's going to be going back for the knock on. What's everyone's opinion? Where is Geordie Barrett's best position? I mean, I really like him at 12, and I was saying long before they tried him at 12, yeah, I think he would make a good 12. I don't mind him at 15. I think he does the job at 15 for the All Blacks when it comes to getting under that high ball. But knowing that he could be a 12 option and that opens up the door for someone else at 15 is an exciting idea. Also, we have got there Amish. Who do you think is going to win, Blues or Brumbies? Well, Blues actually are about 91% likely. And that seems tricky. And we keeping you up, mate, says Isaac. Nah, it's just I ended up watching West Indies versus South Africa last night. We went slightly later in the streaming than we should have, and then I lacked sleep. but that is always the case over the weekend. Like I talked about it on the stream yesterday. We're going to have about 72 hours of the weekend. We will be live streaming for about 30 of those hours, and I will only be sleeping for about 10 to 15 of them. So by Monday, we're going to be absolutely shattered. Nicely taken by Sam Gilbert. Kicks it in behind, looking for the 50-22. It's going to keep on skidding and skidding almost into the in goal area. Burke decides he doesn't want to wait to see if it makes it all the way. Picks it up and puts it into touch. Remember that courtyard? Where do we work with the other 8? There's the snooze. Geordie's attributes are better suited to 12. Imagine a super boot. Vision playing outside his brother. This is a good game, says the snooze. Actually, I played chess recently. I sucked at it. And then when I was going to win, the other guy looked sad. So I said that I'll put my move back. And then he beat me. And he just didn't care that I let him get to that point. Harmon. A run. Burns, short a Mosisi Dawai. Met by a Severis. The counter ruck from the Crusaders. And I feel like a word to personify what they've done in this game is physicality. Every Crusaders player just putting in those big shots, whether it's in the breakdown or whether it's just in general. That ball's gone up to Broughton. Over the ball for the Crusaders. Cody Taylor gets the turnover in the breakdown. This is the poor man's chess. But sevens is a good game. Says the snooze. That's quite different to chess, isn't it? Drummond's just gone off the field. They have mentioned as well. A few minutes ago, have you seen Star Wars? It was a long time ago, but yes, I believe I've watched. Oh, I've watched the original 6. 9%. That'll do me. Blues it is. There's Bottomic. And boys in red are still on. There's Roy. And for anyone wondering about the NRL at the moment, it is 14 points to 12 in favour of the Warriors over the Newcastle Knights. So the Warriors not doing too bad. Even the Rock has the right money. There's the snooze. Nicely taken by Whitelock. Rolling ball straight away goes down for the Crusaders. Cody Taylor breaks off the back, drops the ball in the process. Now Conagard and Basham trying to fight with David Arvili. Oh, that looked like a very cheap shot, whoever that was. Was that Cody Taylor? No, Cody Taylor's there. Someone just jumped down and elbowed one of the other team's members in the ribs because he had one of their teammates. I wonder whether or not they'll go back and have a look at that. Doesn't look too good off the ball. Let's go Crusaders. 60-3 will be nice. There's Roikus. Checking David Harvili's knee here. Right, they're gone time off. We're going to see a replay of this breakdown, or are they just going to say it's fine? It might not have been anything. You might have slipped. They're checking something here. Yeah, they're checking the shot for foul play. Blue number 4 lifts a blue player. So the Highlanders player lifts a red player, Crusaders, above the horizontal, which I believe then leads to the retaliation of what I saw, which was that drive into him. So they're going to check this one. Roger Dorvasashik, more like Roger. Is Rugby 02. Just getting the TMO angle that they're after. What do we got? So number 18 in the end. Or is it? No, it's coming through there. Number 4 lifts him up, puts him down, and then Tamaiti Williams dives in. That's the part that they should be looking at that they haven't seen. Because it might be a penalty, but then this could get reversed. Show this angle. Show Tamaiti Williams a little bit longer, Here we go. No, they're not showing it. Okay, interesting. We don't want to look at Tamaiti Williams jumping down on him, but it is going to be a yellow card against number 4. That will be Pari Parkinson going off the field. Mighty Williams is a lucky man because every time it cut off just before he was diving in, you could see him lining up the shoulder as he was about to jump down, and every time they cut it off. Please not take Roger Ovasashik to the World Cup. Nope. Keep him well away, thanks, says Marco Vanapola. So they have got 8 minutes to now decide whether or not Pari Parkinson's challenge will become a red card or whether it will stay as a yellow. But James Lynch is now out onto the field, and Marco found a 15. Says it's news, and Hamish says, Connor, welcome in, mate. Doing well. Cody Taylor now about to throw this ball in for the Highlanders. I go on in. Scott Barrett takes it nicely. They're going to try and roll this one towards the try line. One of the Highlanders players, it's Christian Leo Willie, who's actually rocking the Spates Budgie Smugglers, which is quite funny because he used to be a Highlander. Rolling ball successful though for the Crusaders. They fall over the line and it's another try, moving up to 43 points. Don't play like that against the Chief. And Peri Sauce Parkinson is Rogue. My favourite names in this comp are Peri Parkinson, Ricky Riccatelli. They both have excellent names. And is there a new NRL team called something Dolphin? It is. They've been added in. They have their first game up against the Roosters on Sunday. We're actually considering doing that game as a possibility. We will either do that game between the Roosters and the Dolphins, or we'll do the Reds versus Western Force. Those are our two options for that one. And Landers' chance of getting a W against Blues, Satyrs, Canes, and Chiefs this year, unlikely. There's Nate. All right, Richie Moonga. Sounds like Mighty Williams off the field. Might have to go back and have another look at that Mighty Williams one afterwards. It's going to be converted over 45 points to 3. How many Crusaders win by tonight? At the moment, it's looking like 50. To be honest, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck is the future of New Zealand rugby. He should make up the World Cup, says Gita. Watching the NRL match right now, and it is good. Connor and see Drew have a long drought. Thought I'd share. Here's the snooze. Now I say we can get 60. It's going to be kicked off. Nicely taken by the Crusaders just outside of their own 22. So another 23 minutes left in this fixture. And another 7.5 minutes left of the Pari Parkinson yellow card. I roll this ball back now. The youngster Macca Springer also out on the field for William Havili. I've made that change after the knee injury. But Calder, he is also on the field for Mighty Williams. Brody McAllister on the field for Cody Taylor. That looked like a little bit of a tip tackle from Tony Havili Talatui. Big drive and tackle on the wing by Sever Reese. Pull down, please, is the comment. It looks like Sever Reese takes it quickly, so it will be play on. Rating the all numbers on his outside with Lester Whainanoku now going out to the youngster Macca Springer, who steps. Doesn't quite get through the tackle, though, of Mosisi Dawai. Out to the right, nice step from Moong again. That fancy footwork going. Bit of a snipe from the replacement halfback. Does this mean the Crusaders aren't on the downfall anymore, says George Meyer? There's a chance. Be the case. And we'll be able to talk all about it on the next slide. George is going to be joining me, ladies and gentlemen, for the Hurricanes versus Rebels game. Nice inside ball from the Crusaders again. Games we played at a frantic pace, which makes it very hard to commentate in terms of every single player who touches the ball. You have to start skipping players soon. Now going to the short side. Whitelock again. Sit up. Now running hard. Gallagher makes a couple more. Moonga. Only Havili Talatui, pressure on him in the breakdown after being tackled. Now Eno, cut out pass out to Macca Springer. Not a lot of space down there, but he's gone through one. Tackled by Gilbert, or is he? Still driving. 5 meters out from the line, and he is dragged down. Now off to the right-hand side, George Bauer, big run at Sam Withy, being flattened, and the penalty goes to the Highlanders. Where this took place, it is at AAMI Park in Melbourne for this matchup. And every single game will be taking place from this ground as it is the Super Round of Super Rugby. Oh, okay. It sounds like there's going to be a yellow card for one of the Crusaders players as well here. Oh, no. That's the yellow card that's going to remain for Pari Parkinson. Hasn't been upgraded. They've decided from DMO. I'm now going to be having a chat with Cody Taylor. How is Enel's place? The AB's justified. That's a head scratcher for me. Use is Marco. Zeta's back with a vengeance, is Ivan. Exactly right. They have come out firing in this match. Yes, they struggled for the first 10 minutes, but other than that, they haven't been making too many mistakes at all. Off to the left-hand side for the Highlanders. Bit of a spin from Hotham, almost stripped by Scott Barrett, who was searching for it in the breakdown. Fakatava puts up the box kick. Down towards the 22. Richie Mwonga under pressure from Mosisi Dawai, who overcommitted. Now Mwonga does a nice step, gives it off to Macca Springer with the chip and chase. Gonna stay in the field of play, sits up for Gilbert. Doesn't get through the tackle attempt from Springer. Oh, interception pass almost thrown. Brandon Eno waits for the bounce of the ball and now gets back up to his feet. Advantage for the Highlanders. It's a knock on. Doing great, mate. His eyes are there in 40-20 and league requires more accuracy, says Rogue. And speaking of league, currently in the NRL, the Warriors, they are sitting 14 points to 12 up over the Knights with only another 20 minutes left in the contest. So we will have to wait and see exactly what way that one ends up going. Melee in the NRL, there's Hanoi, who are winning a fight, Razor or Steve Borthwick. I mean, they're both pretty tough individuals. Razor, with the breakdowns, you're thinking have a little bit more agility, perhaps, which might work quite well in his favour. Hands on the hips at the moment. He did have to go out on the field early for Jack Goodhue. Does look like it has been tiring him out big time. Now for Lau Fakatava. Feeds the ball in now for the Highlanders. Or does he? A little bit wobbly at the moment. Ref asks for it to be steady. Big push from the Crusaders. They'll get the penalty. Now from 10 metres out, looked like Tom Christie wanted to take that one quickly. They won't allow it. And Steve Borthwick's nose would knock out Razor's forehead. There's Rogue. So the Crusaders once again want themselves another scrum. So looking at the way that the points differential sits as we currently stand, the Crusaders, they were 21 down on their points differential last week. They're back to a plus 21, which puts them on the same points as the Chiefs at the end of this contest. If it remains this way, they score another 2 tries after that, they will then actually find themselves ahead of the Hurricanes on the points table. So we will, whoops, that's the wrong one. We'll go like that, and we'll go like that. There we go. That will be what the Crusaders are aiming for, get themselves above the Hurricanes. While the Hurricanes have their game up against the Rebels, they should be able to extend it just a little bit further for their points differential. All about to be fed in now for the Crusaders. Got another penalty advantage. Eno on this near side of the field. Richie Moonga shut down early by Connor Garden Bishop. Manages to roll out of the way of that one. Now another step. Both of them. He went through, but not quite. Now quickly recycled again, forced backwards. Finds the offload to Sevu Reese. There's something that the Crusaders have had a lot more of in this game than the Highlanders. Eno, offload unsuccessful. And they'll go back for another penalty advantage. It'll be from about 10 metres out from the line. They may even consider going for a quick tap here. Because the Highlanders are actually playing with 14 men currently, as Thomas Umaga Jensen has stayed down. I think the leadership in the shed for the Crusaders put their foot down. There's Isaac there. I see a bit of cramp there. Thomas Umaga Jensen looks like for now he's going to be continuing, but I'm not sure for how long. Also, Pari Parkinson about to return from the bin. Stretching out those calves. I think Andrew Moonan's on the commentary is just saying how surprised he is that he didn't decide to go with the quick tap. If the Warriors played in Dunedin, would the fans come? I think they'd get a few, but looking at them playing in Christchurch, they didn't get a huge number. Now, Sione Havili Talatui going off the back to Moonga. Why cut our pass to Sevu Reese. Finds the offload on the inside. And Fergus Burke, he's slightly been flattened there. I think the Highlanders may have just hung on for that one. It looks like one of the Highlanders players have stayed down. They'll go upstairs for the TMO just to check this one out. 3 tries, Crusaders, Richie and the boys on fire. Hopefully my Hurricanes get a win tonight against the Rebels. There's William there. Right, so the reaction, first of all, is no try. They're happy with the pass. That big question, is it going to be put down in time? Oh, he just throws it at the line. Okay, that's going to be no try. Hopefully my Hurricanes get a win tonight against the Rebels. There's William, and of course, that match is only 14 minutes away, ladies and gentlemen. We will be covering it on the channel alongside one of the other Kiwi lads, George. Be sure to stick around for that one as well. Be a goal line dropout for the Highlanders after the knock on. Freddie Burns, one downfield, the halfway line. Burke does well. Goes off to Sione. Havili Talatui. Now Moonga goes to Eno. Feel like a Crusaders next try is just around the corner here by the looks of it. Another 3 tries. Crusaders, Richie and the boys on fire. There's Roof. Nice short ball. New number 18. It's replacing Mighty Williams now. Johnny Havili Talatui once again goes Hotham across. Bit of work from Crusaders for the possession. Christie. Tackled by Thomas Umanga Jensen. Both of them, is that going to be Withy allowed to go for it? I think he is, and he's actually almost managed. Yes, he has. No, it's going to become a penalty for playing the ball on the ground. And Macca Springer, what an original name. There's Rogue. And the Canes will be favourite, but the Rebels did beat Otago last year. There's Annoy. And who will win in a speed contest between Will Jordan, Sever Reese, Caleb Clark, Richie Moango, Mark Talio, Rico Ioane? They're all very quick. Well, Jordan, his pace seems to be deceptive because it doesn't even look like he's trying to run fast. Sever Reese out of the wing very quick. Same with Clark. Rico's probably, I'd say, the dark horse of that one in terms of being able to win it, but Tilly is pretty quick too. Mwonga's kind of fast, but normally not as quick as some of those other fellas. Brody McAllister, a line out throw, 5 metres out from their own line here. The Highlanders have to try and defend a strong rolling maul attempt again. Marching forward, looking good in the process of doing it. Still getting closer around the side. Brody McAllister has his ankles taken out from underneath him. Now Hotham goes back to Barrett, falls onto his back. One thing's for sure, there's been plenty of physicality throughout this matchup between the two sides. Tom Christie taken down 5 metres out from the line again. Hotham, a George Bauer, the replacement loose head prop. Starts to get a rolling maul type thing going. I did say that his knees down, so they do have to release some short ball. The Leicester fire now, Nuku. I don't know how he's got through there, but he has. And the Crusaders score themselves another one. This has been a very impressive performance so far from the Crusaders. That will bring up their 50 points on the board. Must be hard being a Landers fan, kind of given the Warriors vibes. There's Marco. At least the fire Nuku. He spun out of the Putty Parkinson tackle. James Lynch's then had to make the tackle on him, and he just didn't stop him. Just spun, went over the line. This is awesome. There's Lachlan. Rico Ioane. You remember Australia versus All Blacks, the interception. There's O2. And those were speed. The O2 there as well. Now 12 minutes left in this one. I should mention anyone wondering about the Warriors game. Currently 14 points to 12. The Warriors in the lead, hanging on in their game up against the Knights. Also mention anyone who is new, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. That is a successful conversion from Crusaders fly half Richie Moonga. Now they are leading 52 points to 3. 0 to 80 in 2 seconds. Rugby doing Crusaders with the Auckland Rays midfield duo, Eno and Gucci is Rogue. Just showing the Hurricanes warming up in the back line. Back round, I should say. Got too excited. Thinking about the fact that that next game is only just around the corner. Those gaps going to get closed, says the snooze. I should mention one more converted try for the Crusaders puts them above the Hurricanes on the overall table. Picked off long. Nicely taken by Sam Whitelock. Gets it back to Richie Moonga. Now picks it into touch. Man, those Crusaders have kept the Highlanders tryless so far. Incredible, really. There's William. Exactly right. We saw that little bit of fight from the Highlanders last week when they did play the Blues. There was that small patch where they did look like they might have had half a chance of getting back into it, but we haven't really seen that in this game. taken at the front by the Highlanders. Now Connor Garden Bishop, first receiver. Only just hanging on to that ball for the Highlanders. Tight head prop. Lynch's pressure in the breakdown. Mitch Hunt, first touch for him since coming on, replacing Sam Gilbert, was the starting number 15 for this game. Another spin. Broaden was close to the turnover in that breakdown mismatch as well. Says Spider Mick. A nice pass. Here comes Freddie Burns. He's thrown it straight to Sever Reese, who was lurking and knew that if he just stayed there long enough, the Highlanders would make that mistake. That code word to your local Naughty Girls establishment, Nuzuso. And didn't know 50 New Zealand equals 30 US dollars round about there. There's this news. It's actually going to end up being the penalty, though. Islanders in the end. So even though they wants to turn over, the not releasing penalty goes the way of the Landers. And goes is over the hill. Take Takiaho, Taylor, and Amor to the Rugby World Cup. And then who's your backup if any of them get injured, Rogue? Are you going with Coles as the backup, or are you going with another young player? Such as who have you got? You got Kurt Eklund as an option. You've got um, just trying to think through the other teams. For the Blues, they've got Eklund, and they've also got someone else. The Hurricanes, you've got Amor and also Dane Coles. McAllister, maybe, as an option. Nicely taken by Connor Garden Bishop again, but White on the ball. Gets the turnover penalty. There's just been a lack of ball security. The breakdown, and Coles will be the fourth man. There's Rogue, and no investment in Coles. I have a suffer. And yeah, and who's the strongest in rugby, says Rugby O2. It's always debatable because it's like when you say strong, are you talking like on a bench press or are you talking on a squat? You're talking about like how like hard they are to shift in the breakdown. Like there's a lot of things that could fit into that strong category. I just thought I'll send some sweets, kids, or sweet, no sweat for kids. If the kid gets a toy, then it better be wasting it. Well, it's better than wasting it. Your local brothel. Tyrone Thompson, he's actually another very good option indeed for the Chiefs. Bit of a beast for Hawke's Bay as well. Now Freddie Burns tries to step, struggling to find his feet. That little challenge, and also at the Highlanders so far, working out where he does slot in. It looks like Brady McAllister is actually down at the moment, so we jinxed him by saying he's an option. Akatava now goes off to the right-hand side again. Broughton takes the carry, lost his footing there. Replacement number, nice run in the middle now. Thomas Morgan Jensen finds the offload of Freddie Burns. Driven sideways in the tackle by Richie Moonga. Another offload. Fakatava went for the grubber. No one really was chasing it too hard, but now it's going to be Josh Timu who won the foot race. Highlanders get their first try of the matchup in the 72nd minute. And anything like Lomu, there's O2. And Ponga held up, there's Hanoi. And what Ponga has held up, what happened to them? Says was Marco. So yeah, currently in that matchup, 68 minutes through 14 points to 12. The Warriors still leading, but it'll be quite a close finish. And Artie's pretty strong. There's Joe. Got some strength to hold Artie Savia, doesn't he? Nice run in behind from Josh Timu, though. Seemed like it was late that Fakatava decided to go for the boot. And then Fergus Berg just not able to win that foot race. So 2 points down up. 2 points up, you mean? Here's Hanoi. Highlanders, they walk away with at least one try in this contest. And someone please tell Fakatava there's a skunk attached to his scalp. There's Rogue. He's got a unique haircut, doesn't he? There's quite a few unique ones, but not as many as we had a couple of years ago. What happened to the Highlanders, in your opinion? What went wrong with them? I think it's just the lack of well-known, like, big signings, really, unfortunately. Like, don't get me wrong, Freddie Burns goes decent for the Leicester Tigers. But when you look through at a Highlanders side compared to the Crusaders, you look at how many All Blacks they both have. The Highlanders, they've got Fakatava, who's a part-time All Black at the moment, kind of drifting in and out. You've got Aaron Smith, and you've got Ethan DeGroot. Only All Blacks that they've got. Crusaders, you could look at their back three and see a couple All Blacks just like that with Faina Nuku and Severis. That's not including Richie Moonga, Enor, Goodhue, the four-pack, Whitelock, Moody, Taylor. This goes on. Advantage now for the Crusaders again. 74 minutes down, they go to the short side. I mentioned that the kick was unsuccessful. That was Caleb Clark. There's Orobio 2. The penalty goes the way of the Crusaders. A bit of a push and shove there between James Lynch's and a couple of the Crusaders players. I think the Crusaders may have just said, look at the scoreboard. And that would have made Lynch's step back a little bit. Umaga Jensen ABs and 21 or 22. I could see it as an option. Umaga Jensen, like he's been playing very well. But it's that question of who do you ditch in the midfield combo to be able to bring him in. And what do you fellas think over 61 in the Rebels versus Hurricanes from Regi? Is that in total points or for one side? I assume that's total points, isn't it? But there's quite a few, but the Hurricanes can score quick 5 points when they need to. Whether or not the Rebels are going to be able to help them in that journey to the 60. Hotham goes back across to Leicester, Whainanoku. Driving forward again. Knock on the ground from the Crusaders. Josh Timu, former All Black John Timu's son. There's Rogue. And called Landers for getting one try. Damn, I'm good. Says the Snooze, and who's the coach of the Highlanders? Says how weak they are compared to the other team, says Joe Webby. You see, that's the thing, even naming coaches. Like, you've got the Blues have Leon McDonald, Crusaders have Razor, Chiefs have Clayton McMillan. Then you think through to the Highlanders. They did have Tony Brown. He went away to Japan. So it's just almost like, don't get me wrong, if this side was a team in provincial rugby, they'd succeed, I think, or they'd get right up there anyway. But I don't know whether or not it's the one that is enough to get them far in Super Rugby with the way that they're going. 57 points to 13 for the Canes, why not? There's Beds of Blows. And my dad's just a forklift driver, a fork hoist driver. There's Marco. Now Fakatava going off to Umaga Jensen. And a ruck from Scott Barrett. Penalty, diving straight in off his feet. Quick tap taken by Josh Timu. Sees the option with him. There was a massive shot from Severis. But I believe they are going to be going back for the penalty. He's offside, not back to 10 metres, and Saders playing gaps. Robinson knows that. Don't see the Saders winning this season. ABs, I do. There's the Snooze. Timu managing to get that offside penalty in his team's favour. A lot of time left on the clock now, though. In fact, 3 minutes to be exact. It's kicked downfield, and it isn't to touch. Melbourne still hasn't quite got the numbers to the ground that they would have liked, I would think. In fact, it's probably quite lighter in terms of the amount that they wanted to see at the ground. I don't know how much they're charging for tickets because that could also impact it a little bit. But anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We're going to be back for the Hurricanes versus Rebels game that is starting up in only 25 or so minutes' time. I'll throw on the ball in. The ball in? I'm not American, not that I know of. It's going to be a knock on from the Crusaders. That sounded very American as well. Have you seen Young Sheldon? I've seen the first episode. I went through a patch on Netflix. I don't think anyone's ever done this, what I did, or they probably have. They just don't admit it. What I ended up doing was I wrote a list of about 20, 25 different series on Netflix, and then I'd watch the first episode, decide how interested I was in it, and rather than watching the rest of the episodes, I'd then move on to the start of the next series, watch episode 1, and then rate it and keep on doing that. I'm up to season 6, there's Rugby 2, and what time is the next match? It is going to be 10 past 10 New Zealand time, so we'll be kicking off in 25 minutes' time. It's between the Hurricanes and the Rebels. All that's been fed in now. Off Falau Fakatava goes off to the right-hand side. Thomas Umaga Jensen, another grubber. Josh Timu. Seems like a skill and a half to be able to keep picking him out. It's another try, and I wonder, why didn't they do this like 60 minutes ago? Grubber and behind. It seems like the Crusaders leaving a gap wide open. They won't leave it open again, I wouldn't think. How do they work out the finals? The top 4. Whoever's in first place is playing the 4th, third place, 2nd. So pretty much the way that the table will be It's pretty much the top 8 all go through to the quarterfinals. Anyone who's got green has a home final. So it will be 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, 3 versus 6, and 4 versus 5, with the top 4 teams getting the home final, the way that they've got it laid out. And I'm watching season 20 of Warriors getting nowhere in the NRL, is Marco. I heard that actually it was quite a good series about 15 years ago, 15 seasons ago, Marco. Those boys. But yeah, hits the post, bounces back to Josh Timu, who gets a second of the match. Your scoreboard's updating, or you're saying it's a try. Rugby 2. They're very efficient, aren't they? Warriors are getting worked, somehow hanging on. But the flag is up currently in the NRL. Warriors with 7 minutes left are sitting 14 points to 12 up. Lisa, and do we have English players playing here or in the next match? Freddie Burns out there at the moment for the Highlanders. Been pretty quiet throughout this matchup, though. Now, a long throw. Oh, it's taken by Thomas Umaga Jensen. That is the full-time siren by the sounds of it. Now we just have to wait for the final play of the day. And I think the Crusaders, they might consider just kicking this one into touch. A couple good tries scored against them by the Highlanders. Although the Crusaders don't have the ball until now. Now they've got it. It's gone back. Looks like they want one more attack and play. Tom Christie goes across to Braden Enor with the step. I want to have the last laugh here. They won't like the fact that they've had 2 tries in a row scored against them. Tapped on. Now back to Fergus Burke. He tries to kick the ball out. Did he get enough on it? It almost doesn't stay in. Oh, not quite. For Conagard and Basher. Burke well and truly panicked there. And that is now going to be the end of this matchup. The Crusaders winning it 52 points to 12, I believe it is. Or is it 50? No, 52 points to 13, I should say. No, 52 points to 50, I should say. Have you ever been to a rugby game? I have a very, very long time ago, like when I was probably about 7 or so. And do we in New Zealand have one too many Super Rugby teams? It's sad to see the demise of the Highlanders Super Rugby team, 50 points in the first 2 games. Is it time to have only 4 Super Rugby teams by Highlanders? I don't think so, because then that same question could have been asked about a few of the Australian sides a long time ago. Because like the Highlanders will probably still have some success up against Aussie teams. So, like, yeah, it's one of those ones. I think they'll stick around for a long time. The Highlanders, there's a rich history in the competition for them. They have won it before in the past. They're just not quite in that mindset that they need to be able to win it this year, by the looks of it. But then they did make it through to the Super Rugby Trans-Tasman final not too long ago. And while Warriors scored, says Pezza Blaze, so they will now take the lead 18 points to 12. Nice stuff from the Warriors. And I lost one. The last one I went to was the All Blacks versus Argentina at Christchurch. Ooh, that would have been a fun one. Oh, yeah. Nonetheless, it's going to be the end of this live stream. We have got our next one starting up in 15 minutes' time. So if anyone is new, do leave a like and subscribe. And I will see you all for the next one.